Well, hello friends, it's Thursday, Happy New Year. Is it still okay to say Happy New Year? I'm Jimmy LaRose, I'll be your host for today's NANOE Board of Governors video teleconference. Welcome, we look forward to knowing you, we look forward to spending time with you. Friends, you can go online at Facebook right now. We're on Facebook Live and we welcome questions, comments, and pushback. The sign of a healthy family is separate and critical thought. So go to Facebook Live and it's NANOE members, facebook.com actually, facebook.com/NANOE members. Of course you know that or you wouldn't be hearing it. Please recall and please know this, that today's broadcast will be recorded and uploaded to nano.org by the weekend, probably by the end of business tomorrow, and it'll be on our NANOE video blog page. So everything that you're experiencing today you can use and share and make sure you re-reference. So, here are today's topics. We're going to cover, first of all, Convention and Expo, second, Board of Governors orientation, and third, we're going to make sure we tackle membership and credentialing. But let's get started with our 2017 Board of Governors Convention and Expo, and it will be held here in Columbia, South Carolina. It will be held on the 17th, it'll be held March 7th and 8th in 2017. Here at the Metropolitan Convention Center. A good time will be had by all. We're pulling out all the stops, sparing no expense, if you will, making sure that rear projection screens, the expo is going to be spectacular. Of course, well, why don't we get right into it? Why are we having Convention and Expo? Well, let me tell you why. What happens if we raise up a generation of executive directors, CEOs, new leaders, administrators, who are equipped to design heroic missions of scale, who understand what big bet philanthropy is all about. And they are equipped and they understand how to determine, find a need and meet it, understand how to completely eradicate a problem, and then put in place a mission of scale that actually deals with that problem. Friends, philanthropists, major donors, people who are committed to capacity building, they want to trust that we know what we're doing and that we actually can contend with the issues our nation, our community, our world faces. That's how we're going to equip individuals who attend NANOE. But that'll only occur if we develop a new set of governing best practices that supercharge capacity building. Let me tell you how that works. Back in the 60s, during the Great Society, the charitable sector was entrusted with hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of Lyndon B. Johnson. And of course, Congress and the White House thought it was important to regulate the nonprofit sector as a result. And the nonprofit sector wisely said, give us a chance, let us self-regulate. So here's what the nonprofit sector did. Well-meaning men and women came together and they set up a set of standards of accountability and ethics so as to regulate and make sure that we're good stewards and faithful stewards of the enterprise that was entrusted with us. So I'll say it again. A well-meaning group of individuals put together ethics and accountability so as to protect the nonprofit sector and protect the general public. Here's the difficulty. Best practices that are based on stopping someone from embezzling, well, that is not the correct basis from which to create best practices that actually foster growth. What if instead we came together as NANOE governors and formed a new set of best practices that first and foremost were committed to nonprofit and enterprise growth, and then we protected those new best practices with standards of accountability and ethics? That would be the correct basis from which to start and develop a new set of best practices. And then ethics and accountability would find their rightful place. It is not sufficient to come up with a set of best practices that believe CEOs are going to embezzle and that board members are going to be dishonest, and then put in place all of these restrictions based on protecting ourselves from something that, well, it's kind of hard to protect ourselves from in the first place, isn't it? If people are going to steal, they're going to figure out a way to steal regardless of ethics and responsibilities and accountability. So again, a new set of governing best practices that supercharge capacity building. Okay, So how do we do this? We've already talked about why. Why is to design heroic missions of scale that supercharge nonprofit capacity building and take on problems and completely eradicate them. The how, the way we're going to do it, March 7th and 8th, is this. On day one, changing hearts and minds. Day one is transformation day. Day one is a rich, full experience where first, we're going to have a VIP social media extravagant reception. Second, Jimmy LaRose, myself, I'll frame it out for the 2 days with a keynote address. You all know Dan Pallotta, one of the top 10 TED Talks of all time. Dan will be with us at 11. We're then going to issue a teaching moment, the Best Practice Philanthropist Award to the Strickland family. Then we're going to have Sundance Award winner Hani Korngold, filmmaker. She's going to tackle the new film Broken for Good, the way charity works in the United States of America. And then Dr. Robinson, Kathleen Robinson, charity's academic ambassador. On day one, you will be fully immersed in a new set of thinking, forward thought, progressive approaches to actually designing heroic missions of scale. A whole day of being immersed and transformed. Let me be more specific. Number one, the VIP reception, the social media extravaganza. You'll receive your VIP toolkit. You'll go and you'll create your workstation. Everyone gets a workstation. We're in the Metropolitan Convention Center. It's a football-sized field auditorium, rear projection screens, 2 or 3, 4 screens. You're going to get your toolkit. You're going to set up your workstation. And then, during that VIP reception, the first thing that we do is the special speaker meet and greet. Get to know the different individuals that you're going to be spending the next 2 days with. Of course, there's going to be a photo booth photo shoot. We'll be tweeting and we'll be Facebooking, and you'll be getting all these photos to send up to social media. Let's make sure that we celebrate the good work that you've been doing already as a governor. Number two, on day one, I will be tackling reimagining philanthropy. Friends, what does it look like for us to understand that the number one gift we can give a nonprofit, it's not a board of directors, it's not cash. The number one thing that we can give a nonprofit or even give the community is a strong CEO. The strong CEO. I'm fond of saying, make your executive director chairman of your board. It's okay, she already is. If you have a strong CEO, that individual understands the leadership qualities that they have to be involved in order to accomplish, design a heroic mission of scale, and then execute it. I'm going to tackle and frame out reimagining philanthropy for the 2 days. That'll get us started correctly. Then you're going to want to make sure you don't miss Dan Pallotta. In some ways, Dan got us all started in a new way of thinking when he did that TED Talk. The way we think about charity is dead wrong. To date, over 4 million views, the top 10 TED Talks of all time. Many of you don't know that Dan has done a second TED Talk just months ago in Vancouver for TED. He's going to be joining us, a whole new set of material. Look forward to the way he is going to immerse all of us in a new way of thinking that's going to transform the nonprofit sector. Number 4. Now, friends, this is not going to be an award ceremony, though we are going to issue the Best Practice Philanthropist Medallion to the Strickland family. This is going to be a teaching moment. There will be 3 generations of Stricklands in Columbia on March 7th to receive this. I was on the phone with Jerry Strickland one day and he said, you know, one of the things that I like to give to? I said, tell me. He said, I love to restrict my giving to medical benefits for nonprofit employees. I thought to myself, you mean he doesn't give to the children? He doesn't ask how much of this goes directly to program? Rather, Jerry said, listen, the number one way we measure success, a nonprofit's ability to accomplish its mission, is the rate at which it adds staff. And not just the rate at which it adds staff, but the rate at which it adds quality staff. And you can't attract and keep and maintain quality staff if you aren't meeting their needs. So I love to give restricted gifts to medical benefits for nonprofit employees. This man and his family, this man and his wife, Linda and Jerry, they're best practice philanthropists. They know how to grow a nonprofit enterprise. That'll be followed by Hani Korngold. Hani has been a friend for a decade, involved in multiple projects around the world, all that relate to the charitable sector. Even today, she's in Barrow, Alaska, working on the new movie Touchdown on the Tundra. You can learn about that. Hani will be doing a keynote address, but she'll be also going public with a sizzle reel for the new movie Broken for Good, the way charity works in the United States of America. She's been tackling the issues that, well, here's what's important about what Hani's doing. We have to change the sector. Hani is going to change the attitudes of the general public. She's going out of her way to help the general public understand that it's not a fair question to ask how many of my dollars go directly to the children. So Broken for Good, the way charity works in the United States of America. Hani, last year at Sundance, was an award winner, so you're going to not want to miss her. Okay, and then here we go. Dr. Kathleen Robinson. I can't help but smile as I think of the 50 years, 50, that she has dedicated to the nonprofit sector. She was an intern with Francis Schaeffer years and years and years ago. She has worked with over 130 countries, their governments, NGOs, NPOs. She single-handedly, she has one of the greatest minds as it relates to nonprofit advancement, the charitable sector, a leading authority. And the reason I have here all of these NANOE resources is she's responsible for having written the new guidelines. She's responsible for having written new bylaws that ensure charity grows. Her speech, her keynote address is going to be on the origins and function of the nonprofit sector. It creates a framework. We kind of understand through Dr. Robinson why boards of directors were established around the turn of the century, 19th, 20th century, and what their import was then, and how they need to radically change and become something much different now in order to be relevant. The origins and evolution of nonprofit function. Dr. Robinson. Okay, so day one, Transformation Day, changing hearts and minds. That is going to occur March 7th and 8th at the Metropolitan Convention Center. It's $198 for a governor's event pass, but here's what's interesting. When you purchase an event pass, did you know that 1, 2, 3, all three of your credentials, certified nonprofit executive, certified development executive, and certified nonprofit consultant, all three credentials are made available to you. You don't have to pay any of the credentialing fees. They come with the purchase of an event pass. We also give you the gift of Jimmy LaRose's Reimagining Philanthropy, and you also get to receive immediately a copy of Bylaws for Charities That Grow. So for every individual who purchases an event pass for 2017 Board of Governors Convention and Expo, there are these value adds. That's day one. What are we doing on day two? If day one we're completely immersing ourselves in this transformational day where we're getting this information, we're getting our perspectives turned upside down, we're really allowing conventional thinking to be challenged. On day two, we take all of that thought and we supercharge capacity building by dealing with new guidelines for tomorrow's nonprofit. At NANOE, March 7th and 8th, there are no retreaded workshop topics here. Have you ever been to a conference event and you looked at the different tracks and the different workshops and you wondered if the people that are teaching them were qualified, and you realize that you've seen that same topic a dozen times over the last 10 years? There will be no retreaded workshops here. Actually, on day two, at NANOE, you're on stage. We have some of the greatest facilitators in the nation as it relates to these topics, and there's 12 new guidelines. Well, matter of fact, let me jump into it. We'll be at the Metropolitan Convention Center. We've spared no expense as it relates to making sure we have in place those workstations so that you'll be able to function. On day two, there are 12 new guidelines. You'll get to choose two. Matter of fact, we ask you to choose three. But sustainability through reciprocity. What does it look like for relationships to really be reciprocal? You know, we give lip service to, let's help a donor accomplish their goals. But what does it really look like? What are we willing, how is it that a board member joins our team and the first thing that we do is make them sign a conflict of interest policy where there's no personal annulment in any way, shape, or form back to them? Well, it's upside down and backwards. There needs to be any number of ways a person personally benefits, even financially benefits, by joining our team. So sustainability through reciprocity, that's one topic. Repurposing leadership roles. Friends, we are turning boards of directors upside down. Getting boards of directors from 15 people, from 12 people to 10 people, down to 5 people, and making sure that we have very well-defined roles for board members. We don't task board members with volunteer functions. They end up doing very important governing functions. So, repurposing leadership roles. Number 3, Chief Executive Officer centricity. The third topic is the strong CEO. Number 4, rewriting mission statements. 90% of nonprofits have mission statements that don't actually consider their primary customer. And their primary customer is not a rainforest. It's not a student. It's not a family. Generally, that person is not a customer because they don't have any money. The true customers of nonprofits are governments, major donors, some social enterprise. What does it look like for us to rewrite our mission statements in a way that respond correctly to the people that are actually paying for our good work? Being donor-centered, donor-driven capacity building, tackling yet again and truly knowing and understanding what a donor's goals are, what their needs are for their family, for their church, for their community, for their neighborhood, and rushing in and being a great need meter. Number 6, prioritizing income over program. Friends, money is more important than ministry. Money is more important than mission. As a nonprofit enterprise, if we will commit to a healthy flow of cash first and put in place the infrastructures first, we will be able to exponentially grow our mission and design a heroic mission of scale that actually eradicates a problem. But we have to reprioritize income over program. That's the first 6 topics that we'll be dealing with on day 2. Here's the remainder. Venture capital investment. What does it look like to get capital that we get to spend in a way where there is no return because we're doing R&D? We're willing to go out and make mistakes. That capital is available. It's available from philanthropists. Nonprofits don't know about it. Increasing administrative overhead. The number one way a nonprofit accomplishes its mission, the number one indicator, is its capacity to add staff. So to suggest that a United Way CEO is actually administrative overhead, that person in that role is somehow, it's not money that goes directly to the child or directly to program, it's ludicrous. What must we do to increase overhead so that we can be effective and realize our mission? Social enterprise partnerships. There's the LC3 movement. There's all sorts of different entities now that are for-profit, half-profit, non-profit that are combining. What do those instruments look like? Executive leadership fundraising. What role do CEOs play? What role do senior staff play in capacity building? Research and evaluation. Are we really committed to measuring our outcomes and providing them to donors in a way that's not taxing to the nonprofit, that makes sense and gives the donor confidence? New guidelines versus best practices. How many of these new guidelines can immediately become best practices? How many of them need to remain guidelines and be tested? And finally, what set of guidelines are yet to be determined that we haven't covered, that you know about, that need to be tackled? So on day 2, we're going to be tackling all 12 of these new guidelines, and we're going to, with peer review, interaction, we're going to go out of our way to make sure that you are on stage, that you get to peer review and contribute to this important process. Yet again, March 7th and 8th, $198 for the 2-day event pass. First day is immersion. Second day, we actually supercharge capacity building by tackling these things and putting you on stage. For every event pass that's purchased, all of your credentialing, CDE, CNE, CNC, your candidate's fees are waived. Plus you get the gift of new bylaws for charities that grow. You also receive a copy of Jimmy LaRose's Reimagining Philanthropy. Okay, we've tackled convention and expo. That was topic number 1.